Good morning and welcome to my kitchen. Today I would like to prepare for you something yummy for breakfast. I had this a lot when I was a kid and it always brought a smile to my face. Those are Polish style pancakes, racuchy z serkiem. A little bit different because I will be adding farmer's cheese to it. Have you ever had Danish pastry with sweet cheese? If you did, you know what I'm talking about. This farmer's cheese, when it's mixed with some sugar, it tastes almost like a cheesecake. So those pancakes, I'm telling you, very yummy. I'm smiling right now because the memories, kids were always excited about those. And of course, on the end, you can add any berries, banana, Cool Whip, syrups of your choice, and make it your way. Today, Polish-style pancakes with sweet cheese. Welcome to my kitchen and thank you for watching. For the pancakes today, I will need 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, which should be around 150-60 grams, 4 eggs, almost half a stick of butter, 150 grams of farmer's cheese, 1/4 of a cup of sugar, and I have mixed white sugar with some brown sugar, 2-3 tablespoons of warm water mixed with 1 tablespoon of honey, so I can dissolve dry yeast in it, and vanilla extract. And this is what I need for the pancakes. And on the end, of course, some brown sugar, some berries, banana, whatever you want to put on those pancakes. And first thing to do is dissolve yeast in warm water with a tablespoon of honey. I don't need that much, just enough to get the yeast going. Original recipe calls for fresh yeast, but I know it's very hard to get fresh yeast here, so I'm using dry yeast. Most stores will have dry yeast, but not the fresh yeast. So I have to customize this recipe a little bit. Okay, this will have to wait until it's foamy and ready. And to my flour, I like to add a pinch of salt. I have put butter in, and now the flour, eggs, sugar, and vanilla extract. And one thing I have to mention, everything needs to be room temperature. When you work with yeast, yeast likes warmth. Not hot, but warm. And yeast is nice and foamy, ready. So I can put it in as well and mix it all up. So another reason why you want things to be room temperature, so it can dissolve and incorporate really nicely together with everything else. If you have cold butter in here, completely cold butter with cold eggs, you will see pieces of it everywhere and it wouldn't melt in cold. So room temperature is the key here. You need a smooth consistency, like a pancake, kind of like a waffle mix. Okay, so once you see it nice and silky, smooth, then on the end, farmer's cheese. And farmer's cheese, you need to crumble it like small little pieces here. I told my kids once those pancakes are done, they can have them for lunch for school tomorrow. So they are really excited about that part. Okay, and now gently fold it in. Once this is mixed, I will cover it and leave it for 20 minutes or so. I don't need to leave it for longer as I will put those in a hot pan and the heat will make them rise up and be nice and puffy and airy. And that's how it looks like. Okay, cover. And I will see you in 20 minutes. 20 minutes passed, so we can move to the stove. And again, consistency. I will come closer. So as I mentioned before, for this recipe, usually I use fresh yeast. I don't have it today, and I know it's hard to get it here, so I'm using the dry yeast. But for fresh yeast, I would need about 30 grams, which is equal to 14 grams of the dry one, depending on the company that makes it. Some packages have 7 and some have 10. So check your package of dry yeast to know for sure if you need 1 packet or 2 packets. I've got some oil on my pan and I want to preheat the pan. When I see those tiny little bubbles in that oil, then I know the pan is ready. I can also feel like hot air coming, so I know the pan is nice, warm and ready. And I'm using 1/3 of a cup of a spoon for my pancakes. Once my pan is nice and warm, I can lower the heat to about medium. Maybe for some of you it's funny, but it is important I check that the pan is actually centered the right way. Because sometimes it happens and some of the pancakes are more done than the other. And why is that? Because the heat is not distributed the right way evenly. So of course, some of them will cook faster and some not. And it happens. It should take about 2-3 minutes on each side, and you should not move them sooner than that. Simple test. If they don't stick, they will move freely. So now I can check the bottom. And yes, those are ready. And other side. Now another couple minutes. And they look ready. And you can right away smell the yeast when you work with yeast instead of baking powder. Baking powder doesn't have that specific smell, but yeast does. And that's what I remember growing up. Lots of cake made from fresh yeast. And the house smelled amazing. I'm gonna do 3 because it is easier to maneuver. So a couple minutes now, and then I will check if those are ready to switch them to the other side. Okay, you can see the little bubbles, they are sizzling. And first test, they do move freely on the pan, and now I can look under, and those are ready. Couple minutes, and you do the same thing with the whole button. Okay, and here I want to give you a closer look to look at the inside. Very moist, very soft, and of course very yummy. You can see white patches of that farmer's cheese in there. Smacznego everyone, and thank you for watching. I would like to let you know why I am a big fan of using scale instead of the cups. I do put measurements in cups so it's easier. As you know, I'm from Europe, so everything for me is in grams. And here in United States, any recipes you have is usually in cups. But I want you to pay attention to one thing, so take it as a tip. I learned by mistakes because I've done it before. So I have put together a flour, the same flour, all-purpose flour, into the same measuring cups. Exactly 2 cups in here and exactly 2 cups in here. But I want to measure it using the scale and show you if there is a difference and how much of a difference it can be. So here is the first 2 cups of flour, as you can see, 2 cups. And here is exactly 2 cups. All around, no cheating. And I will turn on, and there's nothing here. My scale, so it's set to 0. Maybe I should show you. So it's set to 0. If you can see. Okay, and I will put the first 2 cups in. And it says it is 248 grams. So now I will take this into a different cup, and it's empty. Put it back. It comes back to 0. And now the other 2 cups. All of it. And this one is 314. So now you can see that 2 cups are not created equal, right? They do not measure on a scale the same. So why is that? Well, it's all about handling the flour. If we are gentle with it, the flour is fluffy, it's light, and then 2 cups, nice fluffy flour. If you handle the flour, shake it, kind of bang it, on the surface somewhere, it loses its volume because it becomes dense. So you keep adding to have exactly 2 cups, right? Well, but it's much more heavier. It's much more flour that you need. So if you ever had a cake and you tried to follow the measurements and directions and the cake wasn't quite the way you hoped, it wasn't as fluffy, it wasn't as delicate, it wasn't as soft, well, maybe because there was too much flour. So it's just a tip, and I hope you will find it helpful to kind of pay attention to how we handle flours. I know how it is when you bake something and you put your heart into it, time into it, and then it doesn't come out the way you hope for. And it's frustrating. So I hope this helps. Thank you for watching.